without a shadow of a doubt, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is a great game. I had a blast. As someone who's never really into the handheld top-down Zeldas, for some reason I just didn't take them seriously as I did the likes of Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker. This was more than just a pleasant surprise, it was a deep game. Coming off of the likes of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, it was nice to hear classic Zelda tunes that have been remixed a bit. Like the classic Zora themes that have been changed a little bit. You know, the notes in places like London Ranch, very reminiscent of Ocarina of Time. In fact, and thinking of characters like Dampé, for example, it seemed like they borrowed a lot from Ocarina of Time, which was a pleasant surprise. Enemies like the Tektites, reminiscent of the Water Temple, and again, London Ranch, even in its cyclical design, very reminiscent of Ocarina of Time. So very pleasant. But my main criticism of this game, and I think probably all Zelda games now in 2024, is in relation to its story. And most specifically, it's the seeming retelling of the story. I believe Arlo made a video about how Echoes of Wisdom somehow affects the so-called timeline, right? The fabled and now laughable timeline of the Zelda series. And I had to scoff at that because, and you know, spoiler alerts, if you haven't completed Echoes of Wisdom, I don't think you should listen to this part. But the only conundrum, I guess, is that the fact that the so-called prime energy is obviously the Triforce. So, you know, basically it's another name for the Triforce, and we see an enemy, a demon-like monster who seems to predate the likes of Demise and Ganon. But again, the reason why I scoff at Arlo's take is because this is basically nonsensical. This is basically laziness, in my opinion. This is lazy storytelling. And this is where I think I'm starting to get deflated with Zeldas, because I'm someone that craves an enriching story. So I don't feel like I've wasted my time being invested in the world and the universe of that franchise, of that game. And just like with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, Tears of the Kingdom was probably the biggest offender in that you want to change things up and you kind of want to play with the memories of Zelda fans, with what we remember. You know, you want to change things up randomly with every iteration of the game. That's fine. You know, I understand Nintendo wants to focus on the gameplay mechanics, you know, gimmicks, ways to control and play the game. That's fine. But when it's done in a way that reboots the storyline, it reboots what we've known, what we've understood, what we've absorbed, I think that's starting to become a slap in the face, to be honest. Tears of the Kingdom, a great example, right? And I've lamented on my disappointment with that game. What we understood about the whole Zelda universe changed because of that game. What we understood about the goddesses, the Hyruleans, you know, everything to do with like the big ears and the closeness to the gods and stuff like that. Sure, these things could be vague, but we had no idea that these goat-like people were at the helm of all of it. The Zonai, right? So you just, you know, using names like Rauru, we believe Rauru to be, you know, the Sage of Light, probably the first king or something like that, but then they just change it all up. It's okay if it's okay if you want to keep things fresh, but in terms of keeping the attention of people who have been invested in these games, I think Nintendo are not doing a good job. Because there's only so many retellings of the story that I'm willing to accept and to adapt, right? There's just so many times that they can do that. But once again, Echoes of Wisdom is a great game. I really enjoyed the echo mechanics. It allowed for very good puzzles, very great characters in the game, like the Yeti in the snow area. Very great character, very classical feeling character. I didn't really use the horses that much. You know, I found them kind of late game-ish. Same as the automatons from Dampé. In fact, didn't use that at all. there is something about this game that will allow you to miss many things. And I think it's the way that you can traverse and warp around. Like the smaller rifts in the world map, I've missed quite a few of them by the end of the game. This basically will just not allow players to soak in everything with the game. There's so many costumes, for example, I miss. Obviously, these are probably in side quests and allow for further adventure, but some of these things really should be presented right under the nose of the player. For example, the Zora fins that allow you to swim faster really should have been a key item that it's not optional. Some of these mechanisms can come across as janky, and I think that was the overall thought I had about the handheld Zeldas, is that they're kind of janky, not as polished as the console Zeldas, and this is probably what made me skip them, like the Oracle games, Link's Awakening, A Link to the Past. My first Zelda was Ocarina of Time. But again, with this game, pleasantly surprised. The gameplay, the stories, the temples, the characters, the races that were there, especially the Deku Scrubs, it was very good to see them since Majora's Mask were good. But my gripe with Zelda these days, I think, just lies in the storytelling. I think that Nintendo really need to upgrade their storytelling base, because it's not great. Really, at this point in time, after all these years of games, they don't need to keep retell the same old story. Really don't need to do that. They don't need to rely on older games. Nintendo is such a company with so much resource that they can invest in bringing in new blood with new ideas. Same with the Pokemon company, right? They can't keep retelling the same old story over a demon from the origin of creation. You know, it's such a basic storytelling. And because we all think in a linear way, right? We think Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker. Naturally, human beings just wanna, this is how we live, right? This is the passage of time. So we naturally wanna bridge the gaps. But Nintendo just wants to basically reboot and reset and redo the story. And that, I think, is gonna cripple Zelda in the long run. Or at the very least, do a Majora's Mask. You know, completely shake it up and don't involve the typical characters, don't involve Hyrule, go to a different land. But it seems that every Zelda game that's based in Hyrule, it's gonna be the same old story that's told, just in a different way, which is getting lame, it's getting kind of boring. But what do you guys think about the Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom? Have you got it? Are you gonna get it? Have you finished it? What are your thoughts? Feel free to put them down below. See you in the next one.